Welcome to Go Play Esports Podcast with Christopher Turner, Go Play founder and CEO, esports coach at the Southern University Lab, and gamer. Discussions on the emergence of esports at the K-12, collegiate, and professional level. Let's go! Let's go play.
Welcome. This is your host, Christopher Turner. Like I said before, I hope everybody's at home and they're safe. Stay out of the streets. Go for just necessary goods. Keep your family safe in these times. Today's guest is the director of Esports and sports performance coach at Mamba Sports Academy. He has worked with a wide range of athletes and professional youth development, as well as creative exercises for clients coming out of the physical therapy. He also practices addressing the body, mind as a whole. His goal is to change the world by bringing the intensive knowledge of sports performance to esports athletes. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Bryce Browne, Director of Esports at Mamba Sports Academy. Welcome to the show, Bryce.
Hey, brother. Thanks for having me, dude.
Not a problem, man.
Got a cheering crowd already.
Oh, man, full production over here, Bryce.
That's right, dude. How it is, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. So tell the listening audience a little bit more about yourself. I gave a brief spiel.
Yeah, man, you really gave me the intro there. So like you said, my name is Bryce. I work out at Mamba Sports Academy, and my goal is to kind of try to change the world of esports, because if you bring it up to the normal person, they think esports is like that episode of South Park where they all be playing World of Warcraft for 8 to 10 hours a day, and that's all they do. And like that is unfortunately a lot of all they do. And so with my background, let me give you a little bit about myself. Is I was an athlete, or I am an athlete, and I still participate in sports. But growing up, if I didn't have to play my sports, I was just playing video games. I was that guy on the World of Warcraft episode of South Park. Like, man, I played so many hours of WoW. I'm never gonna get those hours back. And I believe that the fact that I played so many hours of gaming and I never took care of my body as didn't do the strengthening, the working out that I was supposed to, it really limited my potential in a physical, career that I could have had, maybe going to college or being. But after high school, I joined the military, and I was in the Air Force for 4 years. And I decided during the Air Force, my injuries kind of caught up on me, and I started going to physical therapy. Unfortunately, it wasn't as good as it could have been. I didn't really get any progression. I didn't really get anything fixed. So I kind of got tired of it, and I started taking matters in my own hands the last year of my career. Before I got out, I started learning about health and wellness and fitness, and I had crippling back pain where I was in bed for 2 months almost, and it was just miserable, and I was tired of it. I mean, it was cool. I got to play video games all day long, but like that wasn't. I was getting bored of that. I was like, man, I need to fix myself. So I started learning about the body, and I figured out it was literally this one little stretch is what changed my life. And I was like, man, I know that people are also dealing with what I'm doing, or dealing with, like, I can show them these things. I can learn these things, and I can present them to the world and hopefully educate people to. My main focus was like, dude, I'm going to fix everybody's back in the world. And then I got lucky enough, so I got out of the Air Force, started going to college to become. My goal was to become a chiropractor, and at the junior college out here at Moore Park in California, I got offered a full-time job at Sports Academy. It was known as Sports Academy, now it's Mamba Sports Academy, and they offered me a full-time job, and I was like, man, I can go back to school whenever I want. Like, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to work with the youth and this special type of population, and so here I am, 24 years old, working with professional athletes, working with youth, working with people coming out of physical therapy. I believe I have like one of the widest scopes of experience, and I'm only 28. Like, I've trained all different types of athletes, and so I can relate to so many different in those shitty situations where I hurt, my body hurts. I've even been in places where my mind hurts, where I've been in depression, and I fight with anxiety, and I figured out there's healthy ways to address these issues that, instead of in the military, they just wanted to give me prescription drugs to fix my problems, and I wasn't okay with that. So that's kind of why I started diving into all this so deeply. And I'm so blessed and grateful to have this position at my job that I do right now, because now, as an avid gamer, I took charge and I was like, yo, we need to step our esports presence up. We need to make sure that because we're as a sports facility, nobody really, or it's becoming more of a sport in the general population's eyes, but I feel like it's my job to teach and show the world that esports is actually a sport. And our what we've been doing at Mamba is creating a curriculum that matches with any type of sport that you would play, that's a physical contact sport, or not just contact, but a physical sport like golf, football, basketball, where in the high schools and colleges, they're starting to do this now. When they're working with us, they are implementing, all right, we have a practice time, we have a workout time. That's the physical portion of fitness. And then we have like a mental training fitness. That might be the cognition app that we've developed, or it might be working in some team building exercises, communication skills. And then we also dive into nutrition and everything else that is part of fitness, because the last thing I usually talk about with fitness is the physical workout side. So that's kind of getting me to where we're all caught up to what we do now. You guys are going to hear a lot about it over this next few minutes of this podcast, and I'm really excited to be able to share my knowledge with everybody listening in.
That's awesome, man. And before we go any further, thank you for your services, man. And I'm glad that you were able to conquer over that, man, and be blessed enough to kind of come back and recreate yourself and recreate your career, man. Do something that you love doing, because from you talking, I can hear the passion of it, man. I know you get it, and I know you understand, and that you love what you're doing, man.
You're exactly right. I just want everybody to know, you don't have to go to college to reach your dreams. Like, there are 100 different ways to get to your goal, and you just have to see it, and then you can make it a reality, right? I'm not sure if do you practice any type of visualization? Have you ever heard of visualization?
As far as what? Expound upon that.
All right. So for me, started. We'll talk about like where I originally learned about this. You ever heard the book Law of Attraction?
Yeah.
Or The Secret. Sure. The Secret is also a movie, I believe. Yeah. So a couple years ago, I read the Law of Attraction, and I started implementing all that into my life, and that really changed my life, where I started doing more visualization techniques, more manifestation, right? Believing, and actually in my mind, in extreme detail, picturing what I want and instead of just having a want in my mind, it was a reality in my mind. And then over the next few years, that reality became the reality in my mind. And I don't know if it was, the universe putting it there, or all the hard work that I did behind it as well. But I believe that if we, like, no matter what, right? I didn't go to college. I believed I could be leading expert in esports and human performance, and I'm on my way to doing that, right? I have people reaching out to me all the time, asking me what I'm doing, what we're doing at Mamba, what we're working with, what is our secret. There is no secret. It's just address the body as a whole, and the secret is being able to relate to the gamers, because again, there's thousands of people out there that have way more knowledge than I do, but it's the ability for me to connect with the youth, really. I work with a lot of professionals as well. They're easier to connect with because they understand a professional like myself is out to help them. But when you're talking to youth, it's hard to get them to actually to buy into what you're doing. So, like, that was a long way of explaining it. But visualization, right? Picturing in your head in extreme detail what you want to be a reality. Have you ever practiced anything like that before?
Yeah, for sure. So what I believe is almost, it's similar to that. It's writing it down and making it plain to the point, to the final detail, and manifesting that, and speaking that and believing that. It's real similar to what you're talking about, and going and working towards that goal and being diligent about doing so. It's going to manifest itself, man. So I really get that, man. So tell us, man, like, so you mentioned you got to Mamba. Was the esports portion already in place for you, or is something that you had to work from the ground up?
You know, I was lucky. So I was just a sports performance coach. I was just doing straight performance. When I got in the first time during my internship, I was already working with the not the NFL, but the college athletes going into the NFL, prepping for the combine. That's when I came in, and so I hit the ground running. My personal training, my sports performance career was already at what people dream of being at, right? Working with professionals, working with these high level collegiate athletes, and that's where I started. But then over time, I mean, when I first started being in there was already an esports room upstairs. Did it have anybody in here? No. We did have one person working with it. You know, he was trying to build it up. Unfortunately, he's no longer working with us. He works at another company, and that was over a couple of years ago. And within this last year is when I decided I've been trying to make this transition from the physical component of performance training to the virtual, which is where I can be in this world, the esports world, where I can be reaching everybody. Because the stuff that I'm teaching, I don't need to load your back up with 225 pounds, right? I just need to be able to have you listen to me for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and that might be enough information to change your life and get you maybe out of that rut, or maybe get you motivated to get you to where you're trying to be. But when I came into esports or into Mamba Sports Academy, we had 30 gaming computers. They're all really good computers. We've had a few teams come in, a few pro teams before I started working with it more directly, but it wasn't like a booming room. We have a 100,000 square foot facility. So like we have a lot of different areas. We have jiu-jitsu, basketball courts, volleyball courts, and this is just another one of our sections, but it didn't get as much love as I thought it, or as I know it needs, because this is esports. This is the whole world. Like, no matter what, you can be disabled and you could be a number one esport athlete. Like, it doesn't discriminate against based off your height, your weight, you know, your sex. It's just you're a person behind a computer gaming or console, whatever it might be. But I've just been working on it ever since this last year. 2020 has been crazy for me, an unbelievable ride so far. But I'm lucky to have a really solid team with me here. I work with a gentleman named Steele and Jason. Jason's in charge of the Venture Labs, and they're the ones that created the cognition app that we've developed. It's called Mamba Cognition, and that's coming out soon. That's insane, man. You know, what games do you play? Let me ask you something. Yeah, what games do you play?
Yeah, you know, I was going to ask you the same question, but I'm going to answer, and then you can tell me. Okay. So I play I play Rainbow Six Siege. I play Breaking Point, which is another Tom Clancy title. I play NBA 2K. And I'm just getting into Gran Turismo, which is a racing game.
Yeah. Those are all solid games. Let's talk about Rainbow Six. I'll bring this up. I'll answer after. But you know, when you get in that first game, the first one or two games, you're a little rusty, right? Yep. You feel like you got to warm up.
Yep.
So the Cognition app, I play Fortnite. That's one of the games I play. And instead of me going into creative mode for 20 minutes and getting all the cobwebs brushed off my nervous system and getting my body all ready, my mind all wired up to play, I do my cognition, and I'll run that for 10, 15 minutes. It's a series of different types of challenges on an iPad that we can essentially load the brain. Like you can load the body in the gym, we can load the brain, and we can make the challenges extremely difficult. And then when you get into the game, you're doing easier challenges, and your mind essentially, to me, my nervous system gets all fired up, and then I feel like the game is honestly going a little bit slower. After I've been doing it for so long, I honestly feel like time is slowing down just a little bit. And even in real sports, a tenth of a second is a lot. But like in video games, a tenth of a second in every single play, you know, that's the difference between you killing that person and you living with one health. That's like across the board, a tenth of a second is a winning losing scenario, but not in like regular sports. So, but I play that's the Mamba Cognition app that helps me with my game. Before I call it priming. You know, I'm priming my nervous system for my gaming. I do that before I play Fortnite mainly. I play League of Legends as well, and then I've been hopping on the new Warzone because I've been doing
Warzone.
Warzone, man, it's live, dude. I'm having a lot of fun with that one. It's good playing with the friends, but something's drawing me back to League of Legends, and I'm just like, I get into it, and then I get like this terrible teammate, and I'm like, oh god, this is why I quit. But like, all right.
No, I definitely understand that one, man. So look, listen, man, and this is not even in my notes. Now I'm just gonna hit you with this one because it's dear to me.